Welcome everyone to our webinar today. I just want to start by saying the platform that we have here is not going to be used to push any sexual agenda or gender equality issues. We're purely here to talk about the commercial opportunity. I was astounded when I saw online that the LGBTQ plus community contributed 218 billion US dollars to the global tourism and hospitality industry in 2018, according to Ian Johnson, CEO of OutNow at World Travel Mark Global Hub in 2018. The topic for today is, are we there yet? Doing our best to woo Q plus travelers to Thailand. Will the LGBTQ plus community be amongst the first movers to travel internationally? We have an expert lineup of speakers for you with Kun Sisuda Wanapinyasak, Deputy Governor of the Tourism Authority of Thailand, and Kun Sisuda has championed the marketing to the LGBTQ plus community. We also have Kun Crystal Prakakal Naranong, who is co-founder of The Slate and also known as Kun Mu, so we'll be referring to as Kun Mu. And Kun Mu is very design driven. Next up on our panel, we have Yuan Zhong, who is experientialist and editor-in-chief at OutThere magazine. You can find Yuan online at outthere.travel. Yuan's also the ambassador and advisor to TAT on the LGBTQ plus marketing. And rounding off our panel, we have, everyone knows him in the tourism industry, Chris Lee, who heads up marketing for TAT London, covering UK and Ireland. We also have an invisible Wonder Woman, Mai Sumi, at the Phuket Hotels Association, who's helping manage the logistics of this webinar. Sumi is located at the moment at C9 Hotel Works office to help us. So thanks, Bill, for letting Sumi take over the office. And the webinar is hosted by Delivering Asia Communications, our communications and PR agency for the Phuket Hotel Association. And I'm with PHA, the Phuket Hotel Association, today. Excuse me. Having said that, I would now like to pass over to Kun Sisuda, Deputy Governor of TAT, who we're honoured and delighted to have make the opening remarks. Over to you, Kun Sisuda.
Thank you so much. Sawadee ka. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this particularly important webinar. I want to first thank Anthony Lark, President of Phuket Hotels Association, for inviting TAT to be part of this session. TAT, under my leadership, has long seen the potential of LGBTQ travel segment, and it's important, especially as it relates to the Thai tourism industry moving forward. For many years, LGBTQ consumer has been a few traveler to Thailand, whether it be for exploration of the hottest new urban or beach getaway, partying, small family friend group travel, or to explore the lesser known part of Thailand. The LGBTQ segment has found a safe, enjoyable, no judgment haven in Thailand. While some are cautious travelers, especially in regions where the political climate offers them fewer protection, it is not strange to say that many within the LGBTQ travel segment are adventurous and open to the new experiences in the post-COVID-19 world. Many wonder what may LGBTQ travel look like. Recent poll conducted through May by well-respected company found that whether traveling or not in the near term, LGBTQ respondents reports feeling more comfortable making travel choice. The LGBTQ population is estimated to be 500 million people worldwide, with around 90 million in China alone, followed by India with 86 million. And USA with 21 million people. Our LGBTQ population right here in Thailand is 4.5 million, according to the LGBT capital. The spending power of LGBTQ consumer is estimated at 3.6 trillion US dollar globally. Industry experts in key source market like the United States tell us that travel remains a high priority for LGBTQ consumer, even with overcoming setback. We witnessed this in 2001, follow the 911, as well as post-recession in 2009, when LGBTQ adults shows a strong personal appetite to travel once again, as conditions permit and the economy reopen. We anticipate LGBTQ travel will again be found toward the front of many lines at the airport, hotel, and desirable destination, including Thailand. IGLTA president indicated that nearly half of the respondents to the association recent travel survey said they would not change the type of destination they choose to visit after the COVID-19 is resolved. This suggests a high degree of destination loyalty amid uncertainty. It will take longer for large LGBTQ events to return, but once the threat is past, the desire to gather among like-minded people will prevail. Thailand should be proud of its achievement at engaging with LGBT community over the past several years. In fact, to further formalize our commitment to this important community, in 2019, TAT participated in major LGBTQ events. Last June, during Pride Month, TAT joined World Pride in New York. We were delighted to be a part of the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. We also participated in Pride celebration in both Toronto and Tel Aviv in celebration of equality and diversity in both countries. We also promoted Thailand as one of the leading LGBTQ-friendly destinations in all of Asia. As well-known travel shows such as ITB Berlin, Fitu in Madrid, and Proud Experiences in New York. Through our landmark Go Thai Be Free campaign, we launched a stronger, more user-friendly version of our Go Thai Be Free website. We developed a series of dedicated LGBT assets that include video and photo library. We listen to the feedback of the community and ensure that saw no bias in terms of age, ethnicity, or usual identity through our social media asset. We also continue to communicate directly with the LGBTQ community throughout the year. To assure the health and safety of all travelers, TAT has launched the Safety and Health Administration or SHA project. This is to ensure that Thailand's ranking as a preferred destination remains high. Our mission is to continue to help prepare tourism establishment to be ready for the return of tourism post-COVID-19, as well as to offer tourists new tourism experiences with regard to the new normal as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Lastly, also remember that equality is the cornerstone of Thainess. We learned this from our elders, custom, and tradition. Buddhism teaches that we are all created equal. It also teaches that we must navigate the journey of life together. In Thailand, it is our difference, make us unique. So thank you for participating. Hope you will have a fruitful session ahead. Thank you so much. Stay safe and สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you, Kun Sisuda, Deputy Governor of Tourism Authority of Thailand. We're honoured to have you. I know you've got a very busy schedule, and I know that you're involved in other meetings on the rebound strategy. So you might leave us during this webinar, but we're in the capable hands of our three other panelists. Moving on to the three panelists, I'm going to give each of them 3 minutes to share their views, ideas, and some statistics about the market. And then we'll go into the meaty Q&A, which everyone wants to find out how to tap this market and are we there yet in optimizing the opportunity. So I'm going to kick off with the lovely lady, Kun Mu, who's in this fabulous setting at the Slate. And Kun Mu, over to you for your 3-minute introduction.
Thank you very much, David, and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Phuket Hotels Association for having me here today. The Slate has received a great support from the LGBTQ plus community. Being a design-driven hotel and a member of design hotels give us a unique positioning to attract this market segment. The uniqueness of the resort naturally appeals to people who are looking for something different when they travel. We commissioned one of the most avant-garde architects, Bill Bensley, to create a resort based on tin mining, which is both Phuket heritage and our family backgrounds. We gave Bill a carte blanche. He designed everything from landscape to architecture to interiors. And his great sense of humor is reflected everywhere in the resort, which makes it a very gay and colorful place at the same time. I will be able to show you our brand video in a few seconds. But just to end my brief introduction, I'd like to stress that we have a diversity and inclusion culture. Everyone is welcome and included here in the Slate. Plus, all of my dear friends are gay men. So could I please have the video, David?
Okay. Okay, thanks, Kamu, for the very informative presentation from yourself. Next, I would like to go to a man who's helped TAT tap the LGBT community, and he's actually organized the LGBT Travel Symposium in Bangkok for 2 years, and that is Yuan Yong, who's experientialist and editor-in-chief at OutThere Travel. Over to Yuan for your 3 minutes.
Thank you for having me. Thank you to the Phuket Hotels Association for having me. Thank you, Kunmu, as well at the Slate for all the support that you give to the LGBT community. I know Chris and I was there with the press and travel agent group recently, and we had a really good time. I've been asked to do this in 3 minutes. I think that's going to be impossible, but I'm going to try my best, and I promise not to take up too much of your time. I know Chris has a lot to say too, so we can be, you know, partners in crime for slightly overrunning together. But I want to share some very fresh research that I think you all will find very useful. David, some of what I have to say will cover off a couple of your questions that were posed for the panel, so I hope maybe you'll give me a little bit more time as well, and I can save you some time later as well. So I guess the $1 million question, or the 31 million baht question, is how will LGBT travelers react post-COVID? I can give you 3 perspectives here. First, the general LGBT market perspective from the recent IGLTA, and that's the International LGBT Travel Association research that Kun Sri Sudha quoted earlier, which is predominantly the US, Canadian, and Latin America view. Secondly, I will share some of the data that we see on the back end of GoThaiBeFree.com, which is TAT's amazing global LGBT outreach, spearheaded by Kun Sri Sudha at TAT, and that will give you a global view specific to Thailand. And thirdly, my own perspective, which is OutThere magazine's perspective, which is purely about luxury, high-end travel. So overwhelmingly, LGBT travelers are ready to go. From the IGLTA research, 2/3, that's 66% of people said that they're comfortable traveling internationally before the end of 2020. The share of voice is equal in September and October. So Q4 2020 seems to be the tipping point for LGBT travelers. As Kun Sri Sudha said earlier, 46% will not change the destination they've previously chosen, and 25% remain undecided. So there's a high degree of destination loyalty. We've always known that from the LGBT market. And because Thailand has done so much work over the last few years to build on it, it's important that we continue to capitalize on these brand loyal LGBT travelers. From GoThaiBeFree.com, the data is very interesting because as well as giving us insight from our top markets of the US, UK, and Germany, it importantly tells us about regional LGBT travel as well. China, Japan, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, which will all be core markets for your recovery. This is all online search behavior, so it gives us a really good feel for what the consumer appetite is. Firstly, happy to say site usage is up over 28% since lockdown in March. This goes to show that people are still dreaming of travel to Thailand. And the most read stories over the last 3 months on GoThaiBeFree.com are about Loi Krathong and how to spend Christmas in Thailand. We didn't see this at all last year, so it demonstrates a healthy appetite for Q4 travel to the country, if allowed. The next favorite story is about G-Circuit in Songkran in 2021. So it just gives you a view of the timeline of what LGBT travelers are looking at. Specifically for Phuket, the most read pages are the hotels pages, followed by where to go for LGBT nightlife. So it seems that people are seeking out where the gay-friendly hotels are, or which the gay-friendly hotels are, before they go and see what to do in the region, suggesting that Phuket is seen by the LGBT market as an escapist resort-based destination. So if you're not already listed on GoThaiBeFree.com, if your hotel's not already listed, why not? It is completely free to do so. All I need you to do is give us a great reason of why your hotels are suitable to the LGBT traveler, and we'll list the hotel in the hotel listing. And lastly, I just want to share some insight from OutThere. The data is relevant to high-end luxury travel. Overwhelmingly, 88% are ready to travel internationally now. In fact, when Switzerland opened up last week, we heard from a Swiss advertiser that they've got bookings from our promotion together for the next 3 months. But the important part is that 92% of these people would not be concerned with traveling long haul. However, timing-wise, it is not the immediacy that we had all hoped for. For long haul, the earliest they are considering is Christmas 2020 into spring 2021. But where they are looking at is Asia. Asia is the #1 long-haul destination of choice after European short-haul. There's an opportunity here to capitalize on this. Other destinations that offer similar experiences to Asia, so the Caribbean, South America, the Indian Ocean, are all behind on the recovery curve. And where do specifically OutThere travelers want to head? It's Southeast Asia. Layer on top of that 3 very important factors coming from our research: safety, hygiene, health, and insurance. When we talk to the audience and also insurers, Thailand, alongside Singapore, are the only 2 destinations in Southeast Asia that have the adequate luxury healthcare provisions that will satisfy the needs of luxury travelers' new health insurance needs. Not that it will make any difference to the luxury traveler on affordability, but it's an unsexy way to position travel, but people just want to be close to a really good hospital, just in case. Number 2, the desire for the beach is extremely strong. Usually it falls around 50% on a beach holiday of what OutThere travelers are looking for. But now post-COVID, 77% of our readers have opted for a beach destination at their first when they can travel again. And only 11% opted for a city break. So Bangkok will unfortunately fall out of favor and Phuket into favor. And the last big piece of insight coming out of the research is the best news of all is that travel will be a spending priority for the year ahead. Where beforehand we had some competition in luxury fashion, cars, art, investments, it seemed that in 2021 and beyond, travel is the clear winner in spending priority for luxury. LGBT travelers were the majority of people, that's 68%, saying that their travel budget will remain unaffected or likely to increase. What for? Overwhelmingly on escapism, on the luxury side of things, but on the experiential side, transformative, responsible, and community-driven travel are high passion points. Overwhelmingly, they all said flexibility in booking terms is crucial, more than ever. So I think you will see immediately how Phuket is absolutely suited to the market for these reasons. One more last point, David, sorry, but you asked me about barriers in your little brief to me. For this, I can only take the out there experience from what we hear from our luxury travelers, and it's a big one, because for the most part, it is out of your hands. The single biggest threat for luxury travel is uncertainty, lack of clarity, and an ability to demonstrate confidence as a destination. This applies across the board, but particularly in luxury travel at their spend is significantly high. And this comes direct from our consumers and also from the LGBT travel trade that we work with. So however you choose to position it, you've got to deliver a confident statement. That means either you open confidently or you say you're going to wait till a later date for the reason of safety. Both are still confident statements, but if you say nothing, you will find yourself in a compromised position for the future. People want to know that you have a plan, even if the plan is not immediate. Our survey shows that the longer it takes for a destination to make a confident statement, the less likely they will be a destination of choice on recovery. I can give you 2 examples. Sri Lanka, they've said they're open on the 1st of August. Some people thought it was too early, but from our analysis, it's pretty well thought through and quite watertight. There are some hurdles to overcome, but I can tell you that search for Sri Lanka on our site went through the roof. And the other is South Africa. South Africa said it will not open to tourism until February 2021. It's a huge dent to them, but the date is set and it's a confident statement. And again, the movement, the moment the announcement was made, traffic on our site for South Africa went high up. So I hope those insights will help you with your plans and beyond just LGBT tourism, mainstream luxury behavior. LGBT tourists are always going to be the higher risk takers than a mainstream. We're the trendsetters, so there's a lot you can learn and win by working hard to work in the segment. Thank you for your time.
Great, thanks Ewan for a really insightful 3 extended minutes, a lot of information there. We'll be coming back to you with some hard-hitting questions in a moment. Now we go over to our third panelist, Chris Lee, who heads up marketing for TAT in London. And I know, Chris, you've got some slides or so that you'd like to present. So I'm going to bring up those slides over to you. And let me call up the slides at the same time.
Thank you, David. And thank you for 30 minutes from our guru from London, Mr. Ewan Jong. So to add into that, basically, I wanted to give you a perspective on the UK market and its return to Phuket. Ewan's quoted some really good, thought-through research, and this is what it's all about, I think. Whatever decisions we're going to make, whatever approach we're going to make, it should be data-based. It should be on the basis of knowing what's going on out there. So for TAT London, we did a survey with YouGov, which is a big research body over here, researching 1,335 adults who have travelled long haul in the last 3 years to find out what their perceptions were and how they were seeing the market. So very specific piece of data. The next slide, please. And the good news is that 69% said that they will travel long haul in the next 18 months, with up to 16% saying they'll travel this year, which is excellent. Another 12% on top of that in the first quarter of next year. So if we look at Thailand's high season from November to March, 22% looking to travel over that period, and then 12% coming in Easter with that April to June business. So if you look at this sort of chart, this gives us a real solid reason to be confident going forward. Next slide, please. So who is going to be likely to travel first? And a lot of this will absolutely support and endorse what Ewan was saying. The first of all, it's the ABC ones. Those with the money will be much more likely to travel than those without. So the financial element is strong. So you see 32% versus 24. Age group wise, The young were twice as likely to travel. That was before October, but certainly this year, than the baby boomer market of over 55s. And in terms of the regional traffic from the UK, it was London, which was going to lead the way. Thanks very much. Next slide. So how does that involve what we feel from TAT London we're going to be looking to do to promote? Well, the sort of trips will include romantic, so the honeymoons, the anniversaries, the celebration sort of trips, luxury and wellness all out there, very much so, and Generation Z, so that 18 to 24-year-old split up into students, postgrads, young professionals. A lot of students, for instance, considering to defer their gap year, so they will also make up a good thing. So if you look at these and you listen to what Ewan said about in terms of where the LGBTQ market fits, this fits in very well. So an emphasis very much on the special occasion, on luxury, on well-being. These are all classic LGBTQ wishes. Thank you. Next slide. So if you look at where we're looking in terms of time, yep, domestic travel's already started. Short-haul Europe starting to be announced this week. Trips to visit friends and family. We would see that next week, actually, I see quite hopefully a big announcements. Ewan's quite right in the sense that people need to know. They need to know where destinations stand. And that is from this end and from that end. And I think next week will be key to that. And I'll come on to that in a moment. So long-haul travel, we see kicking in hopefully from September. But mainly, I think the key thing for us is to protect that high season. For Thailand, we want to get that business back as much as we can for Q4. And that's where the winter sun destinations really need to perform well. Thank you. So the conditions for recovery are, just like Ewan said, how and when will the UK market come out of lockdown? When will the Foreign Office advice change for international travel? The moment we've got this 14-day quarantine implemented from the 8th of June, it looks like that will be changed next week with a series of air bridges, bubbles, we call them over in Asia, corridors if you want to, but the idea is to link up with a series of destinations who have COVID-19 levels which are lower than the UK. Not difficult. So we should get those in place, I think, next week. So from a UK perspective, we expect announcements next week. And I was on another webinar yesterday when my boss, Kanjira Vadi, also told me that the Thai government is also considering a draft paper at the moment to look at exactly how and when and why they will allow international travelers in. So I'm hoping, again on the 29th, to see some sort of announcement from Thailand, which will give us that certainty that you was referring to. So from TAT London's point of view, with all this in mind, with the data, we're looking to get marketing campaigns ready to go, possibly as early as July. Last slide, please, thanks. So the key for us is we've checked out 3 scenarios. One is to start promotion in July, based on travel almost immediately from August, September. Scenario 2 is the possibility of, again, starting promotions in July, but putting a focus on September onwards. And scenario 3, if things aren't quite as good as the optimists like myself hope they are, then we'll push that marketing back to September. But my feeling is that scenario 2 is probably likely to be where we're at. So we've got our campaigns in place, we're ready to go, and ready to drive that business. And LGBTQ will undoubtedly be one of the key markets. What we know about difficult times, whether it's recessions, post-tsunami, is it's the niche markets, and it's those people with special interests, if you like, and that's certainly us with the LGBTQ, that will drive that market. So I've got every confidence in the market.
Great. Thanks, Chris, for, again, a very informative and a good overview of what the UK is doing and what TAT in the UK is working on to bring back tourists to Thailand, including the LGBT market. Which now brings us on to the Q&A and some real meaty questions that I have here. And first of all, I have to hone in on Ewan. You made a comment with the OutThere.travel that you've got listings of LGBT-friendly hotels. So what makes a hotel LGBT-friendly? And I have to tell you this little very short story. on Tuesday night, I was home 10 o'clock and I get a message from the Phuket Hotel Association Wonder Woman, Sumi, who had got an email from a leading travel agency asking, could we share the LGBT friendly hotels in Phuket? And Sumi said, help, how do I reply? And I said, go back and say we've got 74 members and all of our hotels, we don't discriminate between creed, color, sexual orientation. So the LGBT community could stay at every hotel. But what makes a hotel attractive for the community? Why do you highlight certain hotels and not others?
There are a lot of things. How long have you got? But let's start. I mean, I'll give you two major points. The first point is to be very much part of the community in everything you do. You know, the LGBT community are very good at sensing out who are on the outside looking in, trying to profit from the community, and who are actually part of the community. So be involved in community activities, whether it's Pride or your CSR initiatives that might be that might help an LGBT charity, or something like that. But be very much part of the community. The second thing is also a big topical question now. You know, the difference between being say racist and anti-racist. It's the same thing. It's the difference between saying that you don't discriminate and you welcome everybody, and being proactively encouraging and marketing towards the LGBT community. That's very, very important. And coupled with that, training, because there are lots of little things that LGBT people look for in hotels or are very sensitive to. For example, you know, when you check in, and two guys check in, are you sure you are putting 2 bathrobes and 2 male slippers in the room? It's commonly forgotten. It's commonly forgotten. Or if I turn up for breakfast, it happens to me a lot, and it happened to me in Phuket. Oh, Mr. Jong, is your wife joining you for breakfast this morning? You know, it's little things, little tiny things like that that could potentially change, that could ruin the situation, ruin someone that is LGBT's holiday. And those are the things that we look out for. And I say the third thing is also knowledge of the LGBT, nightlife LGBT attractions in the local area, because you can ask concierge, and sometimes you get this completely blank face and panicked looking face from a concierge when you ask them where's the local gay bar, or where's the gay owned restaurant, or is there a gallery in town that is gay owned, or something like that. So being part of the community is my number 1 tip, to get in there first, and then reaching out to media and reaching out to other sources of marketing.
Okay, good points there. But I think we have to be mindful. You know, I'm working with some hotels, and the hotel in Bangkok, I'm sure the general manager shouldn't be running around the lobby dressed as Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, or Mrs. Doubtfire. So there's a certain element of what is appropriate for the market and going above and beyond. Should we be flying the rainbow flag outside our hotel, or is that seen as being inappropriate? Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is that we should feel genuinely welcome. Ewan's right, is that I think there's a combination here of, we don't expect some sort of pink carpet, and we don't expect Priscilla. No, of course not. But what we do expect is a genuine, warm welcome, which with a bit of thought behind it. So I'll give you an example, just very similar to what Ewan said. I turned up at a very good 5-star hotel in Bangkok, and I turned up about half an hour after my husband, who had checked in and checked into the room. And I said, they said, and the people on reception said, oh, your friend has already checked in. I said, he's my husband. And it was all very awkward and all very strange. Now, we were staying in a double room, so the likelihood of us just being friends staying in a double room weren't good. So little things like that are just important. So you're right, David. We don't want to, and Ewan's right in the sense that we want genuine. We want genuine. So we don't want pink wash. We don't want some flag. That's not what's important. We want to be genuinely welcomed. And a little bit of training, I think, in terms of how people are received goes a long way. And I think that is the most important thing.
Kummo at the Slate, what do you think in terms of the product offering from your side? I know that there hasn't been a strategy in the past to target the LGBT community, but it's amazing when you look at the guest segmentation, there's a large number of LGBTQ plus guests who stay. Are you going to put a package together? How are you going to go forward and promote the hotel?
Well, actually, I'm thinking of doing like in two different avenues. We can go mainstream and we can put LGBTQ plus sort of spirit into our communication. But as this segment is very sensitive because of the discrimination and exclusion in many countries. So I think we probably want to go to the sources that they have confidence in and they trust, but then we want to probably talk to operators who cater specifically for this market segment, such as Zoom Vacations, whom I met in Miami last year, or Olivia Travel, for instance. And also then we want to be maybe present in the specific trade shows, such as Proud Experiences or ITB, Lesbian and Gay Travel Pavilion, for instance.
Okay, and that's what Ewan was saying, being part of the community and being seen there, rather than just a fad of the general manager for the month saying, let's go after this and chase this $218 billion market.
Exactly. And then also, in our policy, we embrace diversity and inclusion. It's a good point to start off with. Then our staff are very well trained to be discreet and to make everybody feel comfortable, welcome and safe in the hotel. So little details, and you have to be mindful of the details. For instance, if you want to throw a package for a gay men couple, then you have to make sure you have male therapists at the spa, because they might not want to be touched by a female therapist, for instance.
And likewise for the lesbians and the other elements there, tailoring the product. That's a good thing, actually. I was pushed to attend Ewan's LGBT Travel Symposium in Bangkok by a general manager last year, which was fantastic and so informative. And there was a lot of information there, and a lot of hotels that hadn't traditionally targeted this market. What's the first 3 steps we need to do, Ewan, as a hotel?
I would say the first step would be look at your product, make sure, as Kunmo has said, that you've trained your staff. It's tiny little things, the beautiful thing about Thailand that's different from a lot of the rest of Southeast Asia, that being LGBT has not been a problem for a very, very, very long time. So there's no cultural problem to start with. So it's just a little, a little tweak, a little what we call sensitivity, making sure that they understand that the needs are met with.
How does Thailand fare with other destinations? Are we up there as one of the top LGBTQ plus destinations of choice?
Absolutely, but definitely in Asia. Definitely in Asia. But it depends which market, because every market is different. The US choices will be different. The UK's choices will be different. Australia's choices will be different. But Thailand indexes very well. And I know Kun Suda and the TAT team across the world have been doing a lot of hard work to be part of the community, which was like my number one piece of advice. Don't just stand on the outside and say, hey, we welcome LGBT people, but actually get involved in the lives of LGBT people as well.
Right. And Chris, with TAT London, is the segment part of your mainstream marketing, or is it just an occasional flirting with the community?
Nothing wrong with a good flirt, but I would say that no, I think it's certainly something which we were behind. A few years ago, we didn't do anything on the LGBTQ market, to my great shame. But being encouraged, bullied, and led by our friends like you, I think we are certainly making some strides forward. And I think for us, it's definitely a key market. And it's a key market because it feels right as well. it's also part of my personal journey, I suppose. So for me, it is a passion. It is about being part of the community. It's about driving the right sort of business. And Thailand is a great place for the market. Ewan's right. You know, we don't have to worry or start embarrassing stories or pretending that we've got a big problem. We haven't got a big problem. As long as we just put those little things right, then definitely it's something which, certainly from THC London's point of view, we are convinced and committed to.
And putting our offer out into the market, Kamul was talking about potentially doing a package. Yet a couple of general managers said, oh, don't do a package, you know, it won't be received well. Ewan, do you think the community and agents and industry would welcome a hotel promotional package targeting the LGBTQ plus community?
I think it depends. It depends what kind of hotel you are. If you are someone that, like I say, if you've already been part of the community for a very long time, absolutely a package works. It goes to show that you're thinking about it. But if you suddenly start a package completely out of the blue, and it's like you said, you know, completely rainbow strewn and picture of Priscilla Queen of the Desert in front on the flyer, it may not fly so well. However, I do, you know, you asked me about 3 tips, I only got you 1, but my second tip would be to definitely invest in marketing, however you choose to do it. I know it's a difficult time right now for everyone, and I know this is very much about post-COVID travel, but now is the time. You know, if you look at Go Thai Be Free, 28% up on traffic. OutThere, our magazine's traffic is 98% up on traffic over the last 3 months. And everyone has seemed to have gone dark. So it's a very good time now to just put an idea of a brand. I would say a package would be wrong now, maybe a little tone deaf, but to just, you know, give you a flavor that say we are LGBT friendly. These are the sort of things that we're doing. You know, we have training. We are a member of the IGLTA. Or you know, we have been to the LGBT Travel Symposium. We are listed in Go Thai Be Free. Little cost-effective messages will go a long way. And the other thing is your search. You know, people don't often think about this, but you know, people do type in gay-friendly hotels. The #1 search term that leads to the Phuket pages on Go Thai Be Free is gay-friendly hotels Phuket. Wow. As simple as that. Yeah. So look at how you're doing your SEO. Look at how you're doing your search. Even on the Google listings, there's certain things like trans safe space or LGBT welcoming tick boxes alongside you have a pool and good Wi-Fi and parking. Those things exist, but not many people know about them. And they're one of the things that LGBT people will look for when they're searching for a property.
Okay, I've got a question here from Nigel Nicholson, and he's saying, how do you think LGBTQ weddings fit into the marketplace? He sees that there's very few in comparison to other destinations. And that's quite interesting. I'm actively involved in Indian weddings and the weddings market. I've never thought of the LGBTQ plus wedding market. That must be huge, isn't it? Or Chris?
Well, some experience with this one. Yes, so obviously had my own wedding now 3 years ago. So, I mean, we have to say, obviously, at this moment in time, same-sex marriage is still not legal within Thailand. But we sort of basically ran a full-on Thailand ceremony as if it was, and it was fantastic. And it was so well received. We had about 650 people there, I think it was, up in Campaign Pets. So we certainly celebrated with style, and it was a great example where, you know, Thailand was so embracing about the whole ceremony and the whole day. And what you're finding is that, yes, although it's still not legal in terms of the final piece of paper, if you like, the idea of celebrating a partnership, I think, is something which is big news, and we can certainly do it in style. I guarantee that. So if there's one thing that, you know, when you talk about the Indian weddings, you talk about this amazing, because they do it in such a big sort of style and a big size and things as well. Well, yeah, we can do that too, without a doubt.
Kamul, have you had any gay engagements or weddings at the slate?
We haven't had yet any gay weddings, but we did receive a lot of gay couples since the beginning of the slate. You know, we didn't actually market to this market segment, and surprisingly, we received a lot of gay couples who checked into the hotel.
I think the reason for that is when I look on the social media channels, the communications are very homoerotic, with a lot of eye candy of six-pack guys in Speedos by the pool. Most hotels would not run with that type of imagery, but because you're out there with your avant-garde design approach, you take a more broader view. And I think that the social media that has been posted for the slate has been an attractive element. I know behind the scenes, some of the more traditional hotel members have been a bit taken back by eye-popping images, but certainly that's the way to go. Ewan, is digital the way to go in marketing, or are we still in print and other ways, EDM?
Yeah. It's a big mix. It depends on who your audience is and where your audience is coming from. If you're looking for high-end, you know, very like high net worth packages, it's still very much in the print world. But if you're looking at millennials and younger people, obviously it's online. Obviously there's going to be a big shift online. There's always going to be. Social media will play a big part. But I will also say, just to answer your question about the slate, there's a lot that the slate does. You know, the slate has invited, for example, they took our group from the UK, which consisted of 4 journalists and 4 travel agents, all from after the LGBT Travel Symposium. So the hosting groups like that, it's a really big thing, because you get 4 resultant pieces of coverage and all the social media alongside with it, and you get the ear of the travel agent, and that delivers custom. As with regard to the slate having weddings, it's down to marketing. LGBT people will want to see themselves represented in your wedding brochure, because they take one look, they come to the wedding page of your website and they see a straight couple and they're like, oh, okay, there are no LGBT couples here, so maybe they won't be so good for me, you know? So
yeah, really good point there, yeah.
Be inclusive in your marketing, that's all I say. In everything you do, think about, in the way that you think about getting different people of different ages and different races and different ethnicities in there, think about getting an LGBT couple in there. Just very simple thinking. You don't have to overthink it. Identification is a really, really big thing for us.
We've got 74 hotel members in Phuket, and most of them want to target the LGBTQ plus community, because it's going from niche to mainstream with the volume, you know, the economics of the community now globally. You run a very successful symposium, and it's great for hotels. I learned a lot as a hotel on how to tap the market, which I didn't have before. Are you going to do another travel symposium, TAT and OutThere?
We are working on it. Obviously, we can't at this moment do it live, which is what we would like to do, because we invite around 100 journalists and 100 between 100 travel agents and journalists together to come to the country, because that's the best way to experience it yourself. Obviously, we can't do that this year, and we're talking about trying to do a virtual version of the symposium, but that takes a lot of, you know, pivoting and planning. So we're in the process of doing that at the moment. I'm actually due to have a conversation with Khun Sri Sudha after this about what we're going to do next.
Okay, great. We'll stay tuned. There's a question from somebody asking the panel, is there a checklist of customer feedback for resorts to refer to in welcoming large numbers of LGBT guests from around the world, so that they can ensure that their standards and quality service are met? Because hotels love to segment the guests, you know, from silver, me over 60s, to ecotourism, to wellness, and now we've obviously got LGBTQ plus, which is a growing important segment. Is there a reference document where hotels who want to tap the market could find out information? The tip that you gave about his or her and her slippers is a gem. I think that would be, you know, a little detail. Is there a reference document on all the little details that the slate and every other hotel can refer to make sure that they're in tune with the market? Ewan.
Oh, you asked me. Not that I know of. I mean, because there's no one size fit all solution. It comes with a lot of it comes with instinct as well, and it depends what other guests you're looking at. You're looking at the hotel. So I don't think there's a definitive list somewhere. There are plenty of people that could help you. There are plenty of consultants. I know that. There's plenty of standards. For example, joining the IGLTA as a member, International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association, will open you up to a lot of those resources. So you can buy into training programs, just a little logo on your website, but they'll give you the resources you need to make a start at least. But as you know, with per the marketing mix, there's so many different ways of approaching the LGBT traveler. It just depends where you are on your journey. And I know some of your members have that as well. So before looking externally, also look internally, because I know some of your members are very good at it. I know Matt at the CIS Qatar, who's on this call, has been a champion of LGBT diversity for a very long time. People at the Kimala, I don't know Kimala, one of your members, they've been a champion of LGBT diversity for a long time. So even within the Phuket hotel family, there are plenty of people who know exactly what to do.
Great. Before I come on to Chris, I'm going to ask Kamu this question. Do you think the National Tourist Organization, in our case, the Tourism Authority of Thailand, plays an important role in attracting the LGBTQ+ community to a destination?
I think it's very important for the level of National Tourism Association to send a strong invitation, a strong message to welcome the LGBTQ market into the country. There are many countries that they're not very friendly with this market segment, but therefore, you know, it's important to send out the message, the clear message to them. Thailand is a land of smiles, which is great, but then the Go Thai Be Free campaign initiated by TAT is brilliant. It's wonderful, because that puts us on the map for LGBTQ friendly destinations.
Great. Chris, so you're marketing in UK and Ireland for the targeting the community. What things are you doing, and what elements can hotels engage with you on cooperative marketing?
Good question. So, I mean, we have been, we've certainly been supportive of all the head office initiatives, and I think, as she's not on the call now, I would like to give her an extra shout out in terms of the way that TAT has approached LGBTQ+ has been very much personality led with Kunsi Sudha. She does deserve all the credit for that. I think we have also been blessed. If you look at the overseas offices around the world, we also have plenty of us from the community, whether it be in New York with our lovely Steve Johnson, whether it be Dov in Israel. There are quite a few of us actually who have really been pushing this community. I think from a UK perspective, you know, we have, I suppose where we've struggled more is to identify tour operators who really look after this segment well. And I think you and I have talked about this quite a bit, is that, you know, there's a couple of them that, a couple of the bigger ones which do sort of the masses on the LGBT front quite well. But in terms of luxury LGBTQ, it hasn't been easy to find a lot of great partners there. So I think more of our emphasis has been, we've been blessed again that Ewan's based in the UK, and so I tend to sort of grab onto his coattails, as it were, in terms of making sure that we're doing the right thing. But I think you'll be seeing from us certainly a larger percentage of our marketing committed to this market. And I think if there's one thing we do want to do is probably develop and grow a couple more tour operators over here to really go after that market.
Great, thanks, Chris. Your colleague in Israel, Dov, has asked that the LGBT travelers search for many goodies during their trip. One is nightlife, parties, and meeting people. How will social distancing the issue influence the desire to travel in Thailand now that probably parties and nightlife will be out of the mix? Kamu, how is the slate managing the social distancing in terms of guests generally, rather than just looking at the LGBT community, before I come on to Ewan?
Right. Well, the slate is very lucky because we have a big piece of land. We have 35 acres, and couple that with view design, which everything is oversized. You know, the furniture are all oversized, and we are perfect for social distancing. In the restaurant, our tables are 1 meter by 1 meter, so that is perfect for the diners to sit together and keep their social distancing at the same time. And apart from that, the hotel has an open ground, and we are by the beach. So for that, I think it's a great destination, as you mentioned before, like people are looking for beach destination. And our resort is wide open and we have a lot of space. So
I think you mentioned this, but are biosecurity measures top of the list of requirements for the LGBTQ plus community when they start to travel internationally again in choosing where to stay? Are everyone seriously concerned it's top of the list of the health and safety? Or is that maybe one of the top 5, but not the most important factor?
I would say at this moment in time, that will change. It will change very quickly. It is the most important factor. People just want to feel reassured. What you do on site is completely different. Once they get there, it's completely different. I always say this to hotels: if you weren't cleaning well before, I'd be really worried. So why are you taking additional measures to clean now? So I would say yes, but social distancing, or let's call it physical distancing, because there's no, particularly with the LGBT community, there's no such thing as social distancing. You can physical distance, but there are lots of ways of meeting and talking to members of the community that are not necessarily in your physical presence. And I would also say, Phuket is not the hedonistic destination for LGBT people. People go to Bangkok for that, or they go to Pattaya for that. Phuket is the place where people go to escape, to go and relax. So it's also a stereotype, like the general manager dressed as Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, is a stereotype. And it's also a stereotype that all LGBT people want to go and party all the time and find nightlife. Yes, they might want to go to the bar, but if that's not available, that doesn't change their holiday. And there are people of different ages. Lesbian couples is a big, we always call it the silent T. No one addresses lesbian couples when it comes to LGBT marketing. Everyone goes for the gay men because they're visible, they're out and proud. But lesbian couples are a very, very big part of that market, and they don't necessarily want to go out all the time. They want to be indoor, they want to have good F&B, they want to experience your spa, and that's what they like to do on holiday. So you don't have to always think too hard about the nightlife.
What about the transgender community? Because I saw statistics that Thailand is number 2 country worldwide for sexual reassignment. Does that present an opportunity for Thailand? Chris?
Yeah, look, one of my very, very best friends is from the trans community, and I think we've been on quite a journey together. And I think, yeah, Thailand can be very proud in many ways of it being probably seen as one of the safest havens, if you like, for the trans community. Always feel of all the letters, the community I feel most, that I want to put my arms around the most, if you like, is the trans community, because I think worldwide they still have much more of a struggle than the rest of us. Not that the rest of us don't have some struggles, but that community really does. And I think in Thailand, it is a community which feels at most at home compared to others. So again, I think getting that message out there, I think is important. We sometimes just presume that everybody knows how gay friendly or trans friendly Thailand is, but we've got to be able to put that message out there, and we can put it out there with confidence. Because it really is one of our greatest assets, I think.
Okay, 2 quick questions, because we've got 2 minutes. So I need very quick answers on this. Sue Bainbridge, in the past, my resort has worked with the Gay Passport to welcome LGBTQ plus influencers to stay in our high-end product rooms and promote on their social platforms. Chris and Ewan, is this a type of site we should be working with to raise awareness of our friendliness? Or what are your suggestions for how else can we promote? So is the Gay Passport a good platform? Ewan?
Absolutely. Any LGBT media platform is a good platform because it gives you the opportunity to say that you are gay friendly and demonstrate that you're gay friendly. So absolutely, the Gay Passport, We Are Travel Gays, there are lots of social platforms, but there's also lots of mainstream media across the world and websites that can really help you.
How do we find that list? Because I was assigned to tap the market, and fumbling around with Kumpor, our Director of Sales, we were just lost in the cyberspace. Is there a listing of agents that we should be approaching, or who do we contact? Okay, we'll come back on that. So last question is Matt. So Matthew Hidmarsh, one of our members in Phuket, and this is to Chris, who are the main LGBTQ plus wedding operators we should be aiming to meet and greet? Is there a list of wedding operators? I've got a list of Indian wedding operators. Do we have a list for the community operators?
No, I'm not aware of, I mean, certainly from a UK market perspective, there are operators who do have departments which are for weddings and honeymoons, certainly. For the LGBTQ ones, I think there are also some of those operators who have got a strong affinity with that market. So Kironi, for instance, has actually got a dedicated wedding and honeymoons market. And it's also got a very strong commitment to LGBTQ plus. So they would be one. But you're right. You know, this is probably one of the slight frustrations, and I do understand it from David. Your point of view is that we're not probably brilliant at having centralized listings, and you know, the checklist is another good example.
Yes.
We probably do need to have more of these things, and I think sort of, like our great association like the ILGTA is probably these are sort of associations we need to sort of lean on to produce those sort of standards, which would make it a bit easier for people to engage with them.
Great. Thanks, Chris. And thanks, Matt, for asking that question. Thanks also to Sue Bainbridge for your question, Nigel Nicholson, and also Dov, the TAT man to go to in Tel Aviv. I have to call it time up here. We're actually whizzed through the hour. I need to thank Kunsi Suda, Deputy Governor TAT. We're very lucky to have her for the opening remarks. The go-to man for LGBT marketing is Ewan, and you need to certainly subscribe to his publication OutThere.travel. Kun Mu, the avant-garde hotel co-founder in Phuket. Keep doing what you're doing. And Chris, thank you so much for all the support that you give, along with the person that couldn't join us because of the time zone, which is Steve Johnson in New York. Keep promoting Thailand in your markets. Time is up, it's 4 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. We will be posting a video of this webinar on YouTube for your viewing enjoyment, so you can savor the moments again on YouTube. And that's it from us. I've got a dentist appointment now that I have to go to. So let's welcome more LGBTQ plus community to Thailand. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.